Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett, and Derek Carr is heading to the Saints. After a disappointing season, the Saints have decided they want to make some new moves, switch things up. And after rolling with Andy Dalton, they said, surely there's no quarterback on this roster that can take us to the promised land. Let's go get Derek Carr. But to that I say, are they forgetting about Jameis Winston? Because it seems to me like they already have an elite quarterback on the team. Patrick, are the Saints making a huge mistake in rolling with Derek Carr when they have gold sitting on their roster already? That's right. Patrick Cassett is not here today. It is a Josh-only episode. Surprise! This is going to be an interesting one. I don't know how this is going to go because I think one man can only talk for so long. But we're going to see how it goes. But like I was saying, Derek Carr to the Saints, it was surprising in a sense because I think that the Saints, they've tried this. We're going to have an average quarterback for the last couple of years. They had Jameis Winston. They didn't really roll with him. They didn't really give him a fair shot, in my opinion. But then they go and they get Andy Dalton, and they decide to go with Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton, guys, his best years are behind him. Sure, he had a couple years with Cincinnati where he was great, but now it's like he's just an average quarterback. And so you would think that amidst the problems that team had, that they would go maybe a younger direction, go get somebody who's new, or maybe go get somebody who's more established, trade for a big guy. But that's not what they do. They go and basically get a carbon copy of Andy Dalton. I mean, that's what Derek Carr is. Derek Carr is slightly younger Andy Dalton. Just an average quarterback. And so it's very interesting that that's the direction they chose. And personally, I think Jameis Winston has kind of been disrespected in this whole situation. Now, I'm not at practice. I'm not seeing what Jameis Winston is doing. But what I do know is that Jameis Winston can sling the ball. When Jameis Winston is slinging the ball, he is electric. Now, he'll give you a couple picks. Jameis Winston will give you a couple picks. But you know what? He's going to get you the same amount of touchdowns and more, maybe. And if you look at his stats, I was pulling up his stats from this season, the games that he did play. Is not bad. He played 3 games, 63% completion percentage, which is higher than his career average. He threw for 858 yards, which is 286 yards per game. Threw for 4 touchdowns. Now, the interceptions is where the issue is. He threw 5 interceptions, but you give a full season, that's going to even out. He's probably going to throw for if you have 4 touchdowns, 3 games, he's going to throw for, could throw for 30 touchdowns. He might get you 30 interceptions. 30 touchdowns is a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see how Derek Carr acclimates to that new team. If that, maybe that new building, fresh environment is what he needed to kind of jumpstart his career again. I don't know if it's going to work out. I think the Saints are probably going to still be the Saints. But if you think about it, and Adam Schefter just tweeted a tweet that I think puts everything in perspective. Here are the NFC South quarterbacks under contract next year. And take in mind, this is after Tom Brady's now left. Tom Brady is out. The Saints have Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, and Jake Luton, sorry. The Falcons have Desmond Ridder and Logan Woodside. The Buccaneers have Kyle Trask. The Panthers have Matt Corral and Jacob Eason. And we're assuming Jameis Winston is not going to be on that list next year because he's probably going to be a cap casualty, which is a shame. So maybe it makes sense to go get Derek Carr because you have no competition, but the Falcons are going to go get somebody. Desmond Ridder is not going to be the starting quarterback for the Falcons this year. The Buccaneers, they're going to have to go get somebody, either draft somebody or trade for somebody. Like, these teams are going to have quarterbacks that aren't these quarterbacks at the end of the year. So I don't know if maybe the Saints are looking at the potential quarterbacks they could draft and the potential quarterbacks they could trade for and saying, listen, there's not that many guys. We know the division's not loading up. There's not people for the division to go get. So we're going to go get a guy who is average, maybe a little bit better than average when he's playing really well. And that's going to be the best quarterback in this division. So maybe it's a good move for the Saints. I don't know. Going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. And I still don't think, I mean, let's be real, the winner of the NFC South next year, whoever wins that division, they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. This is the new AFC East. I mean, NFC East. The NFC South is the new NFC East. And maybe give it a couple years, we'll turn it around, but it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. Moving on. So the NFL Combine happened this past week, and the official quarterback grades have come out. And I do wonder how the players are graded. Is it a scale of 1 to 10? Because, I'm seeing grades like a 6 and 6.3 or whatever. What is a 10 though? That's what I want to know. Like, is a 10 the best you could be as someone leaving college heading in the NFL? Or is a 10 like an NFL quarterback? Like, is Tom Brady in his prime a 10? Is that what our metric is? Or is it like Trevor Lawrence, one of the best draft prospects of all time? Is he a 10? I don't know. But coming out, it looks like Bryce Young got the best grade. He got 6.82. They did his measurements, though. He's basically the same size as Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray his size is going to be an asterisk for his whole career. Anytime something bad happens, his size is going to be put to blame, whether it's his size or not. Now, I do believe size makes a difference. Like, if I had the choice between a 6'5" guy who could just, a Josh Allen type, yeah, I'll take that over like a small guy most days, if the athleticism is similar, And I think that these new young athletic guys, smaller builds, I'm not sure if it's going to work out. I don't know, because I haven't seen it really be successful yet. You could say Russell Wilson is maybe a smaller guy, but I don't think is Russell Wilson. He's like 5'11". He's got an inch, I think, on Kyler Murray. But it's going to be interesting to see who gives Bryce Young a shot. Somebody's going to give him a shot, right? Because he has, they gave him the highest draft grade for a reason. He can throw the ball. He's a smart guy. I hear stories all the time about, Bryce Young just preparing for games way early. Now, I will say this about Bryce Young. I think a bigger asterisk than his size is the fact that he played for Alabama and he didn't win a national championship. He didn't make it to the championship. He lost at Alabama. If you don't win at Alabama, there's usually an issue. He's like the only quarterback to have not won at Alabama. So you tell me what that says about your ability to win games. I don't know. CJ Stroud was number 2, just underneath Bryce Young. I honestly think CJ Stroud, if I had to pick a quarterback, I'm taking CJ Stroud in this draft class. That's who I'm taking. And I don't think this is an overly impressive draft class, but I think CJ Stroud could be the guy. Now, Anthony Richardson, who, I don't know who's running the Anthony Richardson marketing campaign. I don't know if he hired a team. That team should be paid a lot more money, because Anthony Richardson went from being on nobody's radar to all of a sudden he's like, wait a second, is he the best quarterback in this draft? I haven't seen a tape on him, so I can't tell you that. I look at his stats and I go, man, I don't know. That's seems kind of average to me. And maybe that's just because his start to the year was a little bit rocky. I don't know where this guy came from. I don't. But, somebody's going to give him a shot. Will Levis, Hendon Hooker, next 2 quarterbacks, Aiden O'Connell, and then all the way down at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett, guys, he won 2 national championships. He was a Heisman finalist. And he's not, I guess this is telling us a lot about how good that Georgia team was. That he got the same grade as this guy, Aiden O'Connell from Purdue. Just a slightly better grade than Jaron Hall, BYU. A little bit 0.2 better than Max Duggan, who they murdered in the national championship game. So is Stetson Bennett, it's just so confusing to me because Stetson Bennett, he was a Heisman finalist. With that Georgia team, historic. I mean, like that just I think goes and it puts that team in perspective of how good they are just by the fact that Stetson Bennett is like, he's barely top 10 of this draft class and he won 2 national championships and was a Heisman finalist. And by the way, side note, as a Ravens fan who is getting the offensive coordinator of that team, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm excited. I'm ecstatic to see. By the way, and I don't want to talk too much Ravens because I think it's very easy to talk Ravens and talk a lot of Ravens. Clock's ticking on Lamar. As the time we're filming this episode, and I say we, it's me. It's just me. As the time I am filming this episode, 12:18 p.m. And Lamar basically has 24 hours to either sign a long-term deal or to go and get franchise tag or to be a free agent. And he's somewhere else. And the Ravens, that's not an option. The Ravens aren't letting that happen. The Ravens are either going to franchise tag him or sign him to a long-term deal. And I'll be honest with you, in my brain, there's about a 0% chance a long-term deal gets done. And even though Eric DeCosta, hey, he flew to Miami. He said, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to your home court. Now it would have been easy to say, hey, you are employed by Baltimore Ravens. You get over here to Baltimore. But Eric DeCosta said, hey, listen, look at me. I'm making an effort. I'm putting in my side of the work. I'm doing my side of the labor to get this deal done. Maybe if you did your side, we can get a deal done. I'm not saying that Lamar's the issue here. I'm not saying that. But this could be interpreted as such as, hey, listen, Eric DeCosta, he at the very least, we know Eric DeCosta is doing his side of the work to get a deal done. And so if a deal doesn't get done, I don't know what to say. It seems like they're just on different pages, It's like a guy and a girl dating, and one wants marriage, and the other, just wants to date. They don't want to take that next step. And now I wouldn't even say that's a bad analogy because actually I think it's a lot easier to come to the middle ground there. It's like one person wants to go out to eat and they want to go get pizza, and the other person wants to go get sushi. It's very different foods, very different styles of restaurants you're going to. And I'm not talking about pizza like you're going to a nice fine dining pizza place. I'm talking about you're going to Pizza Hut, or maybe that's disrespectful to Pizza Hut. Maybe you're going to like that random deli pizza place that's on the corner of that, of your town that you've never really been to. You're not even sure who eats there, how it's still open. And that's where you want to go. And then your buddy, he's like, no, I want to go to a fine dining steakhouse. That's the kind of difference we're talking about between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson right now. And I don't know if there's a middle ground. Like, what's the middle ground between super nice steakhouse and random corner pizza place? Is it Outback? I don't even know if Outback's the middle. And it doesn't seem like Lamar Jackson wants to go to Outback anyway, because he wants to go to Ruth Chris or nothing. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but I do know that there's about 0% chance a long-term deal is done in the next 24 hours. That's a given. And I think we've all known that, and I think the writing's been on the wall. Now, the question does remain, okay, next 24 hours, what happens? The Ravens franchise tag him. Okay, now there's 2 types of franchise tag, and one of them, we only get 2 first-round picks. I don't like that one. I like the one where we're guaranteed that we have Lamar and he can't see any other people, and then we can control what the price for Lamar is. Now, I am almost 99% certain that Lamar Jackson does not play on a franchise tag. Almost 99, almost 100% certain. And so then the clock's kind of ticking, and it's like, do the Ravens even have leverage? Because it's like, oh, wait, we could just wait a year and sign him free agency. Why are we going to give up the house for him? I don't know. I don't know how it works. All I know is that Russell Wilson, the Broncos traded everything for him, and he was kind of washed up as it was. So if the Ravens don't get it back for Lamar, I'm going to be pretty upset. But I digress. Lamar Jackson, listen, I want you to be a Raven, but I don't want you to bankrupt the team and force us to never be able to get good players. That's the reality. By the way, I saw a list of over the last 4 years, the least expensive offenses. Ravens were the least expensive offense. Like we invested the least amount into our offense in the past few years. So maybe we have a little bit extra spending money. I don't know. It kind of makes sense though when you look at our wide receivers and you look at other teams and what they're paying for their wide receivers, and you go, yeah, kind of. I guess it does make sense that we don't our salary is not too high. We're not paying too much there, which I'm fine with as long as we have good defense. But I mean, up until the last couple of weeks of this year, our defense wasn't amazing. So we got things to figure out. Moving on. The Knicks beat the Celtics last night in double overtime. Are the Knicks good? I actually don't like. That's a real question. It's not me asking you guys. I was just asking myself. Let me look at NBA standings here, because obviously this is a huge NBA show, and we have to talk. The Knicks are good. Oh, so they're fifth. So the Knicks are fifth in the East. When was somebody going to tell me that? Okay, so the Knicks are good. It seems like that's, I mean, and they'd just be the number 2 team, Celtics. Are the Knicks title contenders? I guess logically you have to say yes, right? Now, I'm not going to address this too much because you guys know I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to basketball. But I think it's a valid point. If you beat the second best team in the league, that will tell you that maybe you're good enough to be the second best team in the league, which would then tell me that to contend for a title, you'd have to be 1 and 2, right? Because that's who's contending at the end of the year. And so if you're 1 and 2 in the East, then you're contending to contend for a title. Yeah, they're title contenders, it looks like. Wow, good for the Knicks. Good for the Knicks. You know, I also saw another game last night, this random college basketball game. Just, it was crazy. There's this one player. Some people are calling him new Damian Lillard. I don't know what that guy's like for any other sports. Or I mean, any other games other than the game I just watched. Oh, dude, he was electric. I need to find this game real quick because it was insane that like super late last night, just some 2 teams, random college basketball teams, were going crazy. Oh, nope, I don't think, there's no way I'm finding this game. No way I'm finding that game. It's just random 2 basketball teams. It was an awesome game, though, if you watched it. Moving on. Roughnecks get a big win last night. You guys know this is a huge Roughnecks show. Now, Patrick will tell you this is a huge DC Defenders show. I would say this is just a huge XFL show. And if you haven't been watching the XFL, I'd recommend that you hop in and you get into it. Because I've been watching it. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's entertaining. I wish there was a little bit more offense. Because I think when you have players who are a little bit... I think when you have a new league and new teams and teams that haven't played a lot together and maybe players who haven't played a lot together, the natural default settings is that the defense is going to be a little bit better. Because I think it's easier to just plug and play defense than it is offense. Because you got to know a lot, and you got to figure out a lot on offense. And so I think defense is just naturally a little bit easier than offense. And so there's a lot of defense being played. And I think at times that can be tough. It's a little bit lower scoring games. But I'll tell you what, this Roughnecks team is good. They're a good, complete football team. I mean, but here's the problem with the Roughnecks, and I'm going to make this clear. They have 2 quarterbacks, and one of them is Brandon Silvers, and he can sling that ball. He can chuck it. Boom, boom. He can. I think he can throw the full length of the field if he tried. When he throws, it looks effortless, just lasers. Now, he did struggle with accuracy at times this season, but he's tightening it up, and the receivers around him, they're catching balls for him. And it's electric. It is electric. But the other guy we have on our team is this guy, McDonald. I don't know McDonald's first name. Luke McDonald, maybe? Something. It's first name McDonald. And this guy, what he does is he runs the ball. So he either hands it off or he runs the option and he takes it himself. And everybody knows in this league, if you've watched more than one game of the Roughnecks, you know when McDonald gets the ball, he's not throwing it. He's not throwing it. And so the defenses know exactly how to play it. And now it's like, oh, McDonald has the ball. Okay, great. It's going to be gain of 0, loss of 2. That's our options. Or we threw it. So get this. Brandon Silvers, beautiful drive down the field, touchdown. And then for the 2 points, going for the 2 points, we're like, yeah, let's go. Let's put in McDonald. Even though, Silvers just went crazy there and just pew, 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 lasers down the field, gets us a touchdown. And we put McDonald in and he throws an interception. So it's like, what? Like the one time you throw the ball, you throw an interception, and then the rest of the times you run it and the defense knows exactly what you're doing. Why is this part of our game plan? I don't know. But I don't see the Roughnecks losing a game ever. And they play the DC Defenders in like 3 weeks, and that's going to be an electric game. But also, beating Hines Ward, who is the coach of the San Antonio Brahmas, whatever their name is, felt good, by the way. Always good to beat a Steeler. So that was exciting. Also, this weekend, Chris Rock dropped a new comedy special, filmed in Baltimore. Very cool. It was actually live, and he unloaded against Will Smith. Now, I'm going to say something that might be very unpopular. I didn't think his Will Smith bit was that funny. I didn't think so. I thought that it could have been funnier. Like, dude, you've been silent. You've been sitting on this material for a while. And I think he could have done better. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just my opinion. But that's how I feel. But he did unload. He talked about it and he got a little bit aggressive. It seems like maybe the slap actually did seem to affect him a little bit. I think he was felt pretty disrespected from how the stand-up special made it seem like. And so I'm not sure if Will Smith is going to address this. I don't know. But I guess we'll find out in the next coming days. And if I have to guess, Will Smith is going to address it in the most obnoxious manner possible. It's going to be so like just try to get everyone to like you. I already know that. I'm going to check Twitter real quick to make sure nothing crazy has happened in the past 15 minutes. Yep. Nope. That's it. That's the news. That's the show. I'm not sure how long we are. Hey, what's the runtime here? Okay, we're like 20 something minutes here. That's pretty good for just Josh Klein. That's a pretty good solo episode podcast. Just Josh Klein, no Patrick Hassett. And I'm not sure, I'm being honest with you. Like, I think when sometimes I get in my head and I'm not even sure what I'm saying. Like right now, it just occurred to me that I'm still talking. I'm like, holy crap, I'm still talking, dude? What? You kidding me? And so, yeah. Man, that Jameis Winston not being on the Saints, it's still just rattling up there. Because I think he's a good quarterback. Now, am I going to think differently when tomorrow Jameis Winston is released and Lamar Jackson is franchise tagged, and then we sign Jameis Winston as a free agent, and then it's like, oh shoot, I guess we're probably not going to have Lamar as our quarterback, and it's time to just kind of face the music, and Jameis Winston is going to be the guy. Am I going to feel as happy and excited about Jameis Winston as I do right now, and am I going to think that Jameis Winston has as much opportunity as I do? Probably not. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Make sure you guys have a wonderful day. If you're listening to this part of the episode, This, by the way, if you made it to nobody's ever made it to the end of an episode, I don't think. Because after every episode, I offer the invitation. If you're still listening to this episode, DM us and you can get a free mug. If you DM us at Picks and Pancakes. Nobody's ever DM'd us. And if you're still listening to this episode now, and considering this is a solo episode, two things it's going to tell me. One, like, do we need Patrick? And two, you might be insane, because I feel like it has to be very hard to listen to one person talking. But Colin Cowherd does it every day. And is this my audition to be the new Colin Cowherd? Seems like it. Anyway, guys, make sure you DM us for a free mug. And also, go and visit us at picksandpancakes.com. New blogs are being released there. You can find all our videos, links to all our channels, so you can subscribe everywhere. And that's the show. That's the show. You guys have a wonderful day. A peace.